So let's talk about reInvent. What can we expect this week from the conference?
Well, it really is kind of the Super Bowl of cloud computing. I mean, there's no halftime show, so that's the only difference. But it is every software vendor startup comes to pitch their wares on the expo hall floor in Las Vegas. It's also a chance for a lot of customer conversations to happen as well. So it's a big sales event. It's a customer conference,
Right.
and it's also where Amazon announces their big new stuff for the year, which these days is all about AI.
And so what are your sources telling you that they are going to debut this week?
We reported this morning there is a new Nova model potentially being talked about this week. The big difference, there was a new Nova model last year, and that was where they launched the Nova line. But the big difference this year is that this is an all-in-one model that can handle and process video, images, speech, and text. And what that means is that it's more of a direct competitor to models like Google Gemini and OpenAI. So this is definitely a big step up from what Amazon had before. It remains to be seen, though, whether how customers are using it or how many customers will actually adopt it.
And I want to talk about the trajectory of AWS here in a second, but we've had AWS executives on the show before. They talked a lot about Bedrock. What's the difference here between Nova and Bedrock, just so we understand?
Well, Nova is sold through Bedrock as part of a collection of other models from third parties, especially Anthropic, which is the one of the main ones they lead with, but also Meta, Cohere, and several others. So Bedrock is the main AWS AI service.
Got it. Got it. And Nova fits into that. Okay. Well, I want to talk a little bit about AWS's trajectory with AI overall. I think consensus is that they have lagged and fallen out of the conversation a bit. Can you walk us a little bit through the history of why that is the case and where they've faced challenges, really?
Sure. I think a lot of this perception comes from the fact that AWS is still very much the king of the cloud in terms of market share and reach and basically every other metric. So uh, AI has been the first time where Amazon has been sort of on its back foot. And what I mean by that is in the old world of machine learning, AWS was one of the first to actually offer a cloud service that companies could use to work and build AI applications. So it wasn't like they missed the boat or were late on that front. But when ChatGPT arrived 3 years ago, that was when things started to become apparent that, hey, maybe they are not the leaders here. And AWS passed on early opportunities to forge close relationships with OpenAI and Anthropic, which could have changed the current state of play today. And of course, Amazon eventually did invest $8 billion in Anthropic and has a very close relationship with them. So they do have a story to tell, and it's not like they're completely missing the boat, but the
Right.
perception is still that they're behind OpenAI and Google and Anthropic.
What else are you expecting from reInvent? You talked about Nova. What about the chips and some of its agents products?
Yeah, so we have there was a product launched this summer called Bedrock Agent Core, and this was an attempt. Bedrock initially had some agent building tools with it when it launched 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, but they were not. My understanding is they were not widely used. So Amazon launched this service this summer called Bedrock Agent Core, and it's basically a way for enterprises to build agents, and it's a little bit more sort of easier for them to do so. And the product has gotten a lot of positive buzz in the few months that it's been available. So we can expect to see customer testimonials at reInvent, perhaps some new features and things like that. And then on the other hand, we have Trainium, which is Amazon's custom chips.
Right.
We're expected, they talked about Trainium 3, the third version last year at reInvent. So we should expect to see some customer testimonials about how they're using those chips. And I think it's really important for Amazon to talk about Trainium because that is their counterpart to the Google
Hmm.
GPU AI chips.
And on that note, we've talked a lot on this show last week about the traction that the TPUs are getting for Google. Do you anticipate that Trainium is going to get the same type of traction? Is there technical differences here that could still put it behind TPUs, or how do you see that conversation unfolding?
It's really too early to say. Amazon just launched Project Rainier, which is a giant supercomputer that they built in conjunction with Anthropic, that includes 500,000 uh, 500,000 Trainium chips when it launched.
Right.
And Amazon said that it expects Anthropic to scale that usage to more than a million by the end of the year, which is 4 weeks away. So surely Anthropic going to be a very big customer of Trainium 3. But in terms of like the usage and how that's going to scale, I think it's sort of hard to say at this point. I wouldn't want to venture a guess. I do know that the first version of Trainium had some glitches that prevented many customers from using it. Trainium 2 fixed a lot of those issues, and no one iterates better than AWS in terms of like working out the kinks with products. So we can expect to see Trainium 3 probably having more customers and perhaps even some surprising new customers.
Right. Now, you talked about the $8 billion that AWS at Amazon has invested in Anthropic, and obviously they are leaning on them heavily for a lot of their experimentation and development with these AI products. How is that relationship faring overall?
I think it's still fine as far as I could tell. Like any relationship, there are bumps in the road, and certainly Amazon and Anthropic have gone through those, just like Microsoft and OpenAI have gone through. I think that my impression is that well, Amazon is signing deals with Microsoft, and they're expanding their agreement recently with Google Cloud. I think Anthropic, just like OpenAI, has an enormous appetite for compute, and so those relationships and those expansions are probably being driven by that as well. I also I wonder though if Anthropic wanted AWS to feature it more the way that Microsoft features OpenAI and Azure. I don't have any reporting to back that up, but it was just kind of a gut feeling that I had in some of the conversations where Amazon is really intent on promoting its own models, the Nova line, which is fine. They invested in those, and they want to have a first party model to show that they're actually in the game in AI. But at the same time, if you're Anthropic, maybe you wanted it to be featured a little bit more prominently.
Right. Well, Kevin, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thank you.